So I think I'm live now, finally, with a chat. Beautiful. That is beautiful. Okay, so question is, the question is, where are you? Where are you guys? The question is, where are you guys? Okay, I have an idea. There you go. Beautiful. Okay, there it is. There you go, South Africa. Plug boy, what's up, brother? I got you now. Good. I'm going to South Africa very soon. I'm going to South Africa very soon. All right. Where am I? Give me 5 minutes while everybody hops on. Just sharing these things. Here we go. Um. Okay. Let's do this. Tell everybody we're live. I improvise this sometimes, and so it's, it is what it is. All right. Where is everybody from? Who are you? Where are you? What is happening? How you been? How are you feeling? How is your trading? How is gold? How is your life? Let's start by that. Where's my chat? Where's my chat? Where's my chat? Here's my chat. There you go. Okay, I got you here. Beautiful. Okay. UK, Daniel, what is happening, Daniel? Awesome, brother. UK. Never been, should be, will be. I am going to South Africa, though. I am going to South Africa. I am going to South Africa very soon. Very soon. Very soon. What is happening? What is happening? Let's talk. I got some peaceful music in the background just to kind of get ourselves in the groove. Um, it's been a while since I don't do any YouTube content or live sessions like this. I think it's time. It was time to do something. I'm gonna be away for a few days, and so I decided to hop on and do this openly for everybody. I have some sessions in my Discord live and my Discord VIP, so within Discord. But let's do this on YouTube so it stays there forever, because I cannot record on Discord. For some reason it lags, and so there are things I talk about in those Discord sessions that as I am presenting, I say to myself like, man, I wish this was a recorded YouTube video that's gonna stay forever. And before I actually get into everything, I'm gonna talk about something that I've discovered. Not is not that new to me, but I've decided to focus on it for a while. It's called fractality. Okay, it's insane. So I am actually going to type it in the chat. Fractality. Or here, let's actually quickly. Fractality. Okay, price is fractal. What does that mean? Price moves. The way it moves in higher time frames and in big scales, it does so in small scale, okay, and at a smaller scale. So this was something I was doing for an educational program, so let's just delete all that. And I'm gonna just quickly prices fractal. Okay. This has been really, really, really powerful. This is one of those things that you say, well, what else can I do in trading? How can I level up? What else is there? Well, this is one of the things. If you have time today to be with me for about an hour, you're gonna like this. So price is fractal. It does in small scale what it does in higher scale. I know I have music still. I know I have music still. It's kind of quiet and it's helping you tune in. I want you to tune in to the session. And I'm gonna leave this for a little bit just so that when people, as more people connect and as we maybe get synchronized, we need to be synchronized. I want your attention. I want you to have a book. I want you to have a notebook next to you and write. You need a notebook. You need a notebook. If you don't have a notebook, get out of my classroom. Get out of here. What are you doing? You need a notebook. Go get your notebook, please. I'm telling you, this, it is what it is. You have to do this like this. And you know what they say, if you're new, blah, 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 subscribe, all that. I don't know. It's not in me. I'm not that. But I have to put this little button up here right there and say subscribe if you're new, like and share, whatever. Go get your notebook. We're going to talk about fractality, how price is fractal. And as I was saying, that is one of the things at a technical level that's going to make you level up. Because support and resistance, trend lines, indicators, candlesticks, price action. But fractality, man, that is really something that's been blowing my mind. And people in the Discord and the VIP, I've done a few sessions about it, and it's been interesting. It's been interesting. It's been crazy. It's been awesome. So again, price does what it does. It does at a small scale what it does at a high scale. It does at a high scale what it does at a small scale. Okay? So I'm going to start with the music, just 30 seconds. It's 30 seconds. You are powerful. You are patient. You are disciplined. You are alive. You are doing what you want to do. Don't give up. This is the most important thing ever. In anything you do in life, don't fucking give up. Don't you give up. You can't. That's not an option. We'll get into that at the end. We'll talk about psychology. We'll talk about motivation. We'll talk about it all. Just, who cares if you lost? Who cares if you burned another account? Who cares if you didn't get a job? Who cares if you got fired? Who cares anything? There is an art called the art of not giving a fuck. It's not about not being responsible. It's not about not manning up and facing up to your responsibilities, your duties, your whatever. It's just about not caring what other people think. And because there's no such thing as a mistake, there's no such thing as a failure. There's just, if you allow yourself to see it like that, it's gonna be like that. If you decide to think you failed, you failed. Simple as that. But if you consciously choose to think differently about what happens to you, you will, believe me, you will not feel the same. Mistakes are not going to be mistakes anymore. Failure will not exist in your mindset. And it just gives you more peace of mind. It'll give you clarity. It'll give you a calm state of mind to act better. That being said, welcome to this live YouTube session about fractality and how price does what it does at a high scale, in a low scale, and at a low scale what it does in a high scale. This has been, to me, one of the most unbelievable things I've discovered, and I've taken the time to really go over it and decided I'm going to implement this into my trading. Okay? And I want to draw it to you before I get into it, because we need to sort of have the idea of what it is, and then we'll understand it better. It's much different than if I just go straight to the chart and you're looking at a bunch of candles. It's not that easy. So let's just take, first of all, and let's draw these dimensions. Let me show you what I mean. Okay? This is, imagine time and price, and this is your space in the matrix. This is a space, right? And then you have this other space right here, and this one is a bit smaller. And then you have this one, and it gets smaller. Then you have this, and it starts to get back. And here's the thing, because it's a cycle, right? The market has cycles. The market has phases. We all know this. This is not new. This is what we learned. There's a impulse. There's a correction. There's a reversal. There's a consolidation, a continuation, right? These phases, we understand them. We know more or less how to identify where we are. Are we in an impulse? Are we in a correction? There's a lot of things you could do for this. There's Elliott wave count theory, which kind of I have a thing with these, Elliott wave analysis because don't get me wrong, they are very accurate when it comes to the Fibonacci retracement and extensions because it is math. The universe is math, is numbers. It's so the Fibonacci tool is extraordinary and it is very accurate. Now the patterns and the timing of certain patterns in the theory of the Elliott wave count, they sometimes they lag, and I've seen people lose a lot of money specifically when trading gold. And so I don't want to shift conversations, and I'm not criticizing Elliott wave count theory. I'm just pointing out it's delicate when you start treating gold like a stock or like a forex pair. Is not that at all. And so these things, when you talk about patterns, you need to understand fundamentals move gold. Now, back to my point is the cycleness of the market, how it has moments in which it expands, moments in which it consolidates, and this all has to do with the volume. It has to do with human psychology. It has to do with institutional manipulations, right? This is how the market enters those phases. It enters phases of volume. It enters phases of expansions, and it consolidates. Why? Because the market is a human creation, and even the algorithms and the machines that are operating in the market are created based on a human thought. There was a code that needs to be written down. There are parameters. There are ifs, then. If this happens, then do this. And that all created a human mind. And the human understands if there's too much hype in a specific market, it's likely for it to probably reverse. And so there's always that human factor into anything. So these phases, they come and go, right? Based on that, everything cool, right? Everything clear. Based on that, you can then think as these phases, and where I'm trying to throw at you this whole transmit the idea is that the market, when it has expansions or when it does something, it sort of comes back into a mini version in a mini scale. Once it gets to that mini scale, it bounces back and it expands into a higher scale. Think of it as the breaths of the market. It inhales and the lungs expand, and then it exhales, and then the market gets compacted. I hope I'm getting myself across, and you're getting what I'm trying to say. Let me know though if I'm just completely screwing you up, but I think you're with me. And this is where I'm trying to make you see it, like visually. How would that be? So this is it. This is one big scale, and then this is one small scale. You see, then this is the smaller scale. Then price comes back and it goes bigger and bigger, and then again it goes into a smaller scale. Okay? And so I'm going to draw the market for you now. Watch this. This is the market. This is what it does, right? So this is the market doing something at a big scale. And the scale is this one, all this. And this is time. So you have the start of a whatever scale, and then it comes and it does whatever it does, right? I'm going to try and draw something to make myself clear here. Okay? So let's leave it like this, for example, right? We have this sort of like weird, almost consolidated area, but imagine now that at a high scale, what I'm talking about is, this is like the 4-hour time frame. In other words, you're looking at 4-hour candles. So this is, for example, like a whole week of trade. You see? Let's say this is the 4-hour time frame. in a period of 1 week. You understand now where this is the big scale? Now, imagine this is the 15-minute time frame, and this is this right here, this period, this mini version of the market is not a week, it's now 1 day. Okay? And then let's go here in the 1 minute time frame. And it's not a day, it's maybe 1 hour. Okay, you follow me? Everything all good? I want you to draw this, please. Take a screenshot. Do what you need to do. You need to seriously have this with you. This is the market, the fractality in the market. Okay? Volume, human psychology, institutional manipulations, news, etc. Like these are the reasons why price expands and it does what and it enters its cycles. And we're looking at fractality. Okay. Like this. Beautiful. So this is the fractality that I'm talking about. It's a big scope. It's like a big market. It's a week in the 4-hour time frame. And then this is the 15-minute time frame in a single day. Here's where things get interesting. This is the behavior that we're looking at in the 4-hour time frame. And in the 15-minute time frame, you will have saludos, Jorgito. Un fuerte abrazo, papi. A friend of mine from Guatemala. Shout out to Jorge. I love you, brother. Estoy contigo, mi hermano. Un fuerte abrazo. Ánimo y fuerzas. The guy who just texted right now, we used to live in the Dominican Republic. We used to sell solar panels. Man, we go way back. This is big brother of mine. Love you, brother. So check this out. 15-minute time frame, 1 day. You know what's crazy, guys? The market is very likely to do almost exactly this in the 15-minute time frame scale. It'll almost do the same things at a bigger scale that it did so in a small scale. And so now is where you'll see me get into the charts, and then what I'll start doing is I'll start talking about that low of the 15-minute time frame in that particular day. This low has a clone. It has a twin brother in another dimension, right? In the other scope of the market, whether it was a previous higher scope or a previous smaller scope. And so this low in the 50-minute time frame also represents this low of the bigger time frame. And you'll see how as price starts unfolding in front of you, whatever you're looking at in a small portion of your chart that represents a single day, when you focus your eyes and you zoom out, when you allow your eyes to look at more of the chart, more space, more in the past and up and down, because the ranges are wider, you will visually be able to almost identically map. It's not perfect, because if not, I've seen things be very accurate, but you'll see these assimilations and be like, holy fuck. All right, so bear with me. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me, bear with me now. Check this out. Watch. So more of the things you'll see, for example, is this. You see how I talk about the V shape? The V shape is real. Is one of the things that I I trade with is like the foundation for my trading. I chose to become an expert at identifying a potential low of an uptrend. When and what happens at those peak lows and at those peak highs? Why did price stop there, and why did it choose to reverse? Why did it stop down there and it chose to bounce and start an impulsive move? What's wrong? Well, like, what's going on there? And so I developed the whole V-shaped thing, and some of you know about it. Some of you are in my VIP and you trade it daily. But this example I just drew shows basically what the V-shape is about. It manipulates equal lows, and it leaves a V shape which has a specific structure, and then it just expands. If you see something like that in a higher scope, you're very likely to see it in a smaller scope also. And so based on the past, this is important, check this out. This is where things get really powerful. I'm going to write it down. Based on past higher scope / scale market behavior, you can anticipate smaller scale or scope scale patterns / behavior. Is it perfect to the tick? Sometimes. And that's the crazy thing. That's the whole point of this. And so based on what you see, and this goes back and forth, because this is not just how can I anticipate the small scale or the small scope based on the high scope. No. This is also, okay, I see something at the small scope, it's gonna probably repeat at a higher scope. Why? Because the market is alive. It's a human creation. Everything is alive, and it has lungs. It breathes. It has the grow, contract, expand, reverse, consolidate, and you're basically synchronizing and connecting to the market, whether it's a system based on code 100%, if it's just one algorithm, whatever it is, you're connecting to it, and you're slowly able to follow it when it breathes in and out. Going into the 1 minute time frame, whatever happens in the 1 minute time frame is very likely it has a very similar representation at a higher scope. And so this is how you then basically just start drawing and doing and everything else everything that you've learned. You see, like the bullish flags or the symmetrical triangles, that even though they're sort of retail mindset, it's there. It's you cannot ignore a symmetrical triangle. You see it. It's fucking there. You also can't ignore a head and shoulders. It's there, like the whole pattern. Whether it's called head and shoulders, who cares? It's the fact that at some point the market reverses, and guess what? That looks like a head and shoulders, but it's there. You see, equal lows, equal highs, all these things, they're there. Some of you thinking like, get into it. I want more. Let me remind everybody that you need a notebook. Please get your notebook. If you're not in your notebook drawing these things, This is how you understand the market. You gotta become obsessed with it, draw it, look at it, anticipate it, learn about it in the sense of know how it communicates. Fractality. Let's get into the charts. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. I'm going to try and pull out an example out of like, how do I say this, like with new info, with like the current data, but I'm going to start with something I've already seen in the past so that we're on the same page. And this was right before gold broke above 5,000. And this was right here. I remember very clearly this wick. Okay, this is the 4-hour time frame. You remember how gold made this perfect double top and it melted to 3,900, and then everybody was saying it's over, and then gold made a little, sneaky correction, and then it just popped. And I made a Discord VIP live session, and this was one of the first times I talked about fractality and price. And I was pointing out to this wick, and I was mentioning how price broke this pattern the same way. Let me try and find it again, because this is where you need to focus your eyes and do what I'm telling you, how you focus on a small scale and then you go back to the upscale. This I think I was talking about these two highs being these two highs. And price broke. Okay, watch. I got it. I think I got it. I think I got it. Okay, here it is. I think I got it. So this and this. And then price. Oops, sorry. And then the way that this broke out was, I believe, this. And so now you have this wick right here. Okay. I think you're following me. I think you're following me. And then also, was it here? Okay, so now I'm gonna draw the big scale. I know this might be confusing, but just bear with me. This is the big scale. Then this is a smaller scale. Oh, you guys are gonna go like, what the f? Watch this. Okay. And you see how it's almost perfect in the same circle? You see how the market is almost like inside a bubble? You see that? Okay. And now this is another portion of the market. And then here it starts expanding again. Look. This is where price starts expanding again. And then it just completely expanded into this big ass humongous dimension. But where I want to show you and make you see, look how price repeats certain things in a big scale and then a small scale, and from the small scale into the bigger scale. So I remember when gold broke out of this resistance here at 4,300, 4,250. Everybody was shorting, right? Everybody's like, "No, this is, this was a drop, this was a correction, it's gonna come down." And then over here everybody was selling and then selling and then selling, and I just knew this was just basically accumulating and it was gonna pop at some point. And then I made the video around this wick when price closed. This was Friday. I made the video on Friday and I said this is gonna just almost go straight up. It's not gonna come back down to retest this, because, and then I started saying, because this wick in a bigger scale is this wick. You see it? So let me take this out, and let me take this out, and let me take this out. Look at how price broke. Look how price broke this resistance, and now look at this high, and look at this high. Notice the similarities in shape and in the way it comes down. Look at this. Market comes down once. This is insane. It comes down 1, 2, 3. Look at this right here. 1, 2, 3. What happens at that low? The market comes up in a short, it takes a while. Look at it. It takes a while. Are you following? Please let me know if you're following. This is really, so it takes a while, but then it breaks out. Over here too. It takes a while, but then it breaks out. And notice now something. Notice this. Look at the angle to where it reaches and it stops. Look at the angle of this. You see it? It's right there. So this high is the what's it called? The twin brother of this big high. This area, right? These two little highs is the same as this area high. Again, the market comes once, down 1, corrects, down 2, and it stops a little bit. Look at this. 1, corrects, 2, and it stops a little bit. And then look what you have here. Look at this big breakout, and look at this big breakout. And then how that breakout, I'm zooming in now a little bit, that breakout left this gap, right? The famous called imbalance or fair value gap. And the first 2, 3 wicks respected all of this area, and it just popped. You see that? And that is the reason why I said this is the equivalent to this, or this is the equivalent to that. If so, the market will prove me wrong. I said, if I'm wrong, let the market prove me wrong. But I think that based on fractality, what's gonna happen next? If price did at that big scale the same thing that it did at this small scale, why should it not then do at a big scale what it did also at the small scale? And so I said in that video, price is just gonna open and just go straight up. And to where? Well, look what it did. It went all the way up, and look what happened. If this high is that high, well, it's gonna go to all-time high. And it went to all-time high. It broke this high. You see that? It retested, which is insane, because watch this. You see this? Watch this, people. This wick low is this wick low. But these wicks, watch this. These wicks over here are these wicks, that smaller wick next to it. You see it? You see it? That is, man. The market breaks, comes down, expands, retests one more time, skyrockets. The market breaks, pullbacks once. Again, it goes up, and this is the bigger scale. Second time it retests, skyrockets. You see that? Please tell me if you are seeing it. Let me know in the comments that I'm not the only crazy guy who thinks this is happening. And that you're getting what I'm seeing. Going back to the same example. This high is that bigger high, that bigger scale high, right? I also talked about the measurement. I also said price is not only gonna go up straight up from here, it's gonna fucking go way higher. Why? What happened? Now I'm gonna bring you into the measurements of the dimensions, right? So basically, now you need to measure what you're looking at. So what do I mean by that? Well, if this is the range that the market was in after the correction, right? Remember, we're talking about everything started from this big scale. And the market went down 1, corrected 2, down 3, and it consolidated. And then it had a big breakout. Now I want to know the measurements of the moves. If price is fractal and it does what it does at a bigger, higher scale, well, what's going to happen next? So now check this out. I measure, and I realize this is basically 1.5. You see it? It's almost perfect. 1.5 of the area of consolidation. Of the area of consolidation after the correction was done. This was the last low of the correction, and then it just went up from there. That being said, where is the last low of this mini version of the market? Right there. Right there. Okay? So therefore, I need to measure this 1.5. 1.5. And it successfully, after the breakout, retest, it moves 1.5. Correct? Now, check this out. This is where I'm gonna go and bam, blow your. Okay, watch this. Now, this is another big version of what you just seen. I'm gonna draw another color. Remember, the market is going up and down, is expanding, contracting. So everything has a clone, everything has a twin in a bigger scale. Everything has a representation from in a small scale into a wider scale. The same way we analyze this area of consolidation, and it had this breakout, and then this area of consolidation had this breakout, we can also talk about all of this as being a bigger, the same area of consolidation, but it's just bigger. You know why? Because look at this. Look at this way this behavior. Look at this. Check this out. Check this out. You see it? So this is that area of consolidation. Look how it's very similar here. It's very similar. You see it? And now this is where things get wild. Watch. It's the same thing at a bigger scale. You see, it's the same thing at a bigger scale. And so now you need to measure that 1.5 and watch how price is algorithmically and almost mathematically perfect. This is 1. I'm not even going to look to the right. I'm just going to put it there for you to see where it gets. This is 1.5. And let's mark with a line where the half is. This is it. Right? That's the half. Now I'm going to zoom out. There's the breakout. There's the retest. And watch this. This breakout, so this high is this high. And this high. And that retest is this retest and this retest. And look how price just goes straight that distance and beyond. Somebody asks, have you gone back even further to test this? Oh, brother, I've done a lot of things with this. And yes, price is fractal. You can go back ages and probably see this again and again and again. The way it consolidates in a specific range sort of has a clone in the past of a bigger scale. And so the thing is, like I said at the beginning, this is relatively new to me. When I mean relatively new is no more than a whole year. I've been implementing this criteria maybe for the last 4 months. And as I make my videos and as I teach what I know, my eyes just go and see it. Before my eyes were looking at something different. My eyes were focusing on like the V shape and then trend lines when certain, the time, is it New York, is it the session breaking, obviously that's still part of my criteria and my system. But the fractality aspect, like I said also at the beginning of the video, this is the next level. This is that really mega, one of those big quantum jumps. This is your next level. This is where you can level the fuck up in technical analysis, price action, and a whole different perspective of trading. It's no EMA, no RSI, none of that noise. It's all BS. This is how the market moves. Period. This is how the market moves. It does what it does at a bigger scale, in a small scale, and each thing has a representation from in itself. Okay? So check this out. I'm going to go back in time and sort of draw it again for you. I'm going to take these little thingies out, so these rectangles, so that you can better visualize it. It's just the size of it now is different because of more volume and the macro news, etc. So yes, I was mentioning at the beginning that price is fractal, and what makes price move is volume. Right here. This is how we started. Volume and human psychology and institutional manipulations, news, etc. So what makes price go big, and then what makes it come down? What makes it expand and what makes it contract? The cycleness of reality, of existence, of life, everything. Those are universal laws. It's called rhythm. It's called balance. It's called vibration, movement. There's a pendulum that swings up left and right. Things grow and fade. You live and you die. You're born and you die. You breathe in and you breathe out. It's day and night. That's another law, universal law of um, opposites. There's duality. You have the yin and yang, and the market lives by these universal laws. It it goes up and it comes down. It goes up fast, it comes down fast. It goes up slow, it comes down slow. And so basically the way I am interpreting this and trying to present it to you is like the market is breathing. We're able to map out each breath of the market. And so this breath right here, this breath, it came down and it did the same thing at a small scale, at a bit smaller breath right here. Look at it right there. You see it? Again, I want to point it out again like this. Watch. The market came down, up, down. Look at the way it came down right here, up, down. It is literally the same, almost the same distances, the same, the angles, everything. And then the way it came back up, slowly creating this little figure, and it broke out. It went back up slowly. Like I said, it's not perfect. Notice that this high is higher than this high in its representation, but it's the same thing. It's a consolidation after this big drop that is very similar in shape and form, that has a very similar breakout in the small scale in compared to this bigger scale. And then all of this was also what I showed you in orange, all of this. You see? So I'm not going to use another bubble, so because it's a bit confusing, but I'm now going to use a rectangle. So basically this, you see? This is another dimension within these dimensions, and it's like it's all the same. It's just, I don't know how else to say it. It's very similar to the Matrix, like the movie, and how like it's not as easy to grasp because it's freaking wild. But I'm trying my best to draw it with different colors so that your mind sees it. For example, again, I'll draw it like this. You see this little triangle? The angle is the same. And then over here also, you have this little triangle here. And so based on that, well then it's all one big triangle. You see it? And so the same way it broke out of this small triangle, it broke out of the bigger triangle. You see it? It retested the small triangle, and it retested the big triangle, and it expanded. It expanded. Now look where we are. Look where we are. Look where we are, motherfuckers. Look at this. Look at this. Where are you? How does this go? And you know what? I'm very happy that this is being recorded and it's going to be there forever. It's going to be there forever. So you go back and look at it, back and see it over and over and over again. Uh-huh. That's interesting, isn't it? It's wild. All right, what else can we look at price? What else can we see about price and being fractal? Based on that, let's try and look at it. Let's try and look at it, what's happening now. As I also said, I'm going to try and sort of kind of do it based on shifting to the present moment, right? Because like I said, this was a simple example for me to show you, because It's the one I was successfully able to identify, and from where things really started, where it all began. And as you know, as you can see, this was November. So November, December, January, February. It's been basically 4 months. And before this, I had seen things. Here's the thing. I hadn't seen it. My higher self did. I hadn't seen it. These eyes right here, this head, this physical body that you're looking at, hadn't seen it. But you know who did? You know who did? This guy. This guy did. All this. All this that goes back to 2023, 2022. All these drawings. And people were making fun of me, by the way. People were they were telling me, why do you draw it on your fucking paper? It's the same thing as your charts. Why do you just take a screenshot of your chart, blah blah. I was telling it, man, draw the market. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. When you do this, you're not remembering things because you have a limit. But you know who doesn't? Your higher self, your spiritual being, your intuition, your power within that is recording this. It's your third eye who's got that. It's alive, always constantly remembering, knowing, and remembering things from the future. And he's telling you, like, bro, there's something there. And when I would look at price and look at the market and look at the patterns, I was like, where have I seen this? And it came. It's like I need to buy now, or I need to wait. That's gonna come down. It's gonna come down. I don't know why, and I don't know how to say, but it's gonna come down. It would come down, or it would go up. Of course, I would lose in the process because sometimes you just jump into that ego, and it takes over you. But when you draw the market, your subconscious and your higher self starts trading for you. And my higher self, the fuck is going on? Hold on, sorry. Okay. I know it was like I was looking at the market, and I would go back and I would say to myself, I've seen this before. Where have I seen this before? What I was looking at in the 1 minute, and I don't know if this happens to you, by the way. Please let me know in the comments or in the chat. Sometimes when you're looking at a specific time frame, your mind goes like, where have I fucking? Is this a deja vu? Like, have I seen this? I don't know. And this is how you then realize you're leveling up. This is how you can understand and be like, oh, I'm up to something. I'm not crazy. Or like, what is this sort of sensation when you're looking at the 1 minute, 5 minute time frames, and you say to yourself, like, I know this is gonna come down. Fuck the strategies. Fuck the V shape. Fuck the A shape. Fuck support and resistance, break of structure, change of character, trend line. It doesn't matter. You just know. It's not because of that. It's because that all is from a mind. That came from a thought. Somebody thought of denominating and calling a support. Somebody thought it's a resistance. And so we're all trading those ideas, but there's an intuition to it. There's a thing called higher self memory. It's like, I know something's gonna happen. If this happens to you, you're up to something. You're leveling up because, and so this is sort of your confirmation, and then your door. Here it is. This is what you came for. Fractality. You are remembering something you saw at a bigger scale. You just didn't know what it was until I'm telling you now. You're looking at price doing the same thing it did a month ago, a week ago, a day ago, at a higher scope. You're looking at it in a small scope. And the only way I had learned that before, on books, on YouTube channels, and whatever, was every time frame is important. You got to look at every time frame. The 5 minute is your entry, the 4 hours, the confirmation, the 4 of this. That's true, but it's not all of it. The complete thing, the complete idea is that price does what it does in the 1 minute, in the 4 hour, in the 1 day, and in the 1 hour, in the 15 minute, in the weekly. It goes up, it goes back and forth, it breathes. Okay? And this is where we are. This is where we are. That's what we're looking at. And I can guarantee you, if we go back and do the same exercise in the past, we're going to see things very similar. We're going to see things. You just got to be a bit quick to see it. You got to train your eyes more and more to be able to spot these things. This is the 4 hour time frame, for example. Like, I don't know what I'm looking at here, but we can probably potentially spot something. This sort of like the same, you know what I mean? And you just start doing this until you realize, oh shit, this is that low. And so what happened then might happen now. All right, watch this. Here's another one. Here's another sort of very similar behavior. Huh. Look at that. That's another one. So price is doing here. Right, so after this level, after this area of consolidation, it broke, retested, dropped down. This area right here, this area right there, it broke, retested, dropped back down. So watch this. So this correction is the same as this correction. But notice how it did it in a small scope, in a small distance, and move. It did it in this bigger scope. You see it? Are you starting to see sort of how I kind of got to this by accident almost? That is another very quick example. And like I said, I wanted to do something with the present moment, like today, what's happening, what might happen, what could happen. And I was talking in one of my the Discord sessions. I was talking about the weekly outlook, and I said, if you know, price is fractal. We're the same way it does something at a bigger scale, blah, blah, blah. And so I was trying to map out how gold could reach 6,000. We're almost finished, by the way, in terms of the fractality of price. And if you're just hopping into this live session, we have been discussing how to identify the breadth of the market and how it goes expansion, contraction in a big scope into a small scope. So for example, what was I saying on the weekly analysis? I also mentioned how price, I think it was, what was it here? I think it was this drop and this correction being the same as this drop, right? If you think about it. And then so this high is this high, this low is this low. Let's try and figure it out right here, right now. Is there a fractal moment? Is there a specific behavior we could potentially project? Because that's the thing, right? As I said, it's not perfect, and I think sometimes you just need to, like I said, I'm basically exploring this, but as you've seen up until now, how interesting it's been, and how it has a degree of of accuracy, well, let's try and do it live, you know? Let's try and see, is there something similar? 4-hour time frame. You see how it's getting compacted? There has to be something, because look, this is the big scope, right? This is the big scope. And then this seems to be a smaller scope right here, right? This little drop. And notice how it's got 1, 2, big drop right here. 1, 2, big drop. And then the way it goes up, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? Those are cycles, like I said. This is how price moves. But then there's has to be something in terms of today's movements, right? What is this? What is all this? What does this represent? Down here, is it somewhere around here? Or is it still unfolding, right? That's what I need to do and basically throw it at you. I would say we're looking at the beginning of something from a bigger scope. Like, I think there's not enough information for me to map it, or for us to be able to say, yes, that's that high is this high, or that low is that low. You see, looks like a consolidation before breaking higher from what you've. Yes, it seems as though it's like this, right? This could almost be another one of these, right? Another one of these. And so at some point you're going to have a breakout, a retest, very similar, right? So you'll probably have a very similar breakout and then a retest respecting that, and then going up like this, the same way price did all of this move. You follow me? So the same way that price, watch it. Here it is. I see it. Thank you. Who said that? Samo. I love you, brother. You said it. You got me to click. You got me to click. You got me to click. Watch this. Watch this, people. Samo got me to click. Ooh, Samo got me to click, brother. Yes. We clicking. Watch this. Watch this. Whew. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Watch this. I see it. I see it. I see it. I see it. Watch this, people. God, I fucking love this, man. Look at this. This high. I told you, everything has a twin. Everything has a twin. In a bigger scope from a smaller scope, and back and forth in a bigger scope and a smaller scope, and is breathing. Is breathing. You guys see it? Tell me you see it. Tell me you see it. Watch this. You see this high is this high. This high is this high. This high is this high. I told you it's not perfect, but it works. It works. Now watch this. This area of consolidation is this area of consolidation that's been coming. It's been coming down. It's like this was flat, but this one is a bit tilted. Watch this. Watch this. Over here, it was very evident like this, but here is like this. Let me take this out. Jesus, man, this is insane. Right there. Right there. You see it? Do you see it? Please tell me I'm not the only crazy guy looking at this. I love this. This is wild. So we might consolidate a little bit longer than before the breakout. Brother, I think it's gonna break out. Let's follow it. Let's follow it. Let's follow it. Let's follow it move by move. Let's see how this consolidation took place, because if this high is this high, how did it come down? Remember, 1, 2, 3, and it went back up. Over here, 1, 2, 3, all the way down to here, right? It had obviously it had more ups and downs, but the idea is there, because then look what happened. It went up once, twice, failed to come lower, and it went back up. Up once, down twice, failed to come back lower, and it went back up, and it started. So at some point, this is becoming, and it's representing something around here, and it seems that it's this. It seems that it's this, because you have this diagonal correction, and you have this diagonal correction to this. You see the market is leaving higher lows. Even though it broke this trend line, this low, it's still higher than this low. And so this is where you have another trend line that needs to be taken into consideration. And so this is your new figure that visually is the representation of this one. And because now, based on all this theory, we need to map it out. We need to say, okay, if this high is that high, where is this high? Where is this high? And so that would be this one. And so where is this high? That would be this one. If that's the case, what's coming next is basically a breakout to the upside. This structure holds. This structure holds. That being said, this structure should hold. We already broke out of these, you see? We're starting to want to break up higher. So that being said, this should hold. This low should hold. And this reminds me from when I was doing that Discord live, and I said, should I be wrong? Let the market prove it. If price is fractal indeed, we're going to go straight up from here. And I stand by my belief and what I'm realizing here. And I'm telling you, what's coming next is something like this. Something very similar to this right there. I'm going to take it out like this. Something like this. I believe we just seen this big breakout. We might see a little correction and then a big bounce. And that would represent this breakout, a little correction, and then a big bounce. You see, obviously it's very hard to say when exactly and how, but based on these patterns and figures and the similarities of the small version and the twin from the small scale, what you see is price creating one last low, a higher low, and then just higher lows from there. And this is it. This is that last low, one higher low, or another low which would be higher, right? Maybe there's, when the market opens, it opened 2 minutes ago, maybe it comes down lower, but if not, it should just go straight up, because that's how it did so in this smaller scale version of the matrix of the market, of whatever you call it, of time and space in that particular moment. Look how it went straight up after a slight correction. Should we be in this time scale from the past? In other words, are we looking at today, present? Are we living this past moment now? If this is the past moment, there's going to be a slight correction and we're gone. That slight correction is this that started happening before the market closed. If I am right, right here is going to be the stop of that correction, because it is the structure that represents this structure. And notice how it actually already broke out. If we're looking at this already broke out, so at some point it should just come straight up, you know. But that's where things you just need to wait and see for it to happen. But if I'm gonna finish my thought, if I'm right, this is just gonna slingshot. And how is it gonna slingshot? How is it gonna go up? Look, let's see. If this high is this high, what happened? How did it break out? How long did it take? It went up almost to it right here. And then what happened? Watch. This is how you anticipate then basically your future structures. It created that. That being said, at some point when it breaks out, you'll have a very similar behavior up here. Very close to this, you'll have a triangle or accumulation, which then would represent this. Are you following me? Everybody follows? We might consolidate, Samo says, because it's on a bigger scale, it might take longer. Yes. And I don't know. It you know, yes, I mean, based if we look at this like math, like 1 + 1 is 2, theoretically yes, but I think what's most important is the market structure itself. The fact that there's already a breakout of the pattern, that's it. That's the end of it, because keep in mind, you don't know how, you can't define time. You can't say this is long or this is short. You see? But what you can define is the structure. You can say this is a channel. You can say there's a trend line because it's there. But, and so when it breaks, you can say it broke out. But you can't say, I can't tell you right now, that took long. It took too long. You see what I mean? I can't tell you that was quick. What is quick? Is quick 1 minute or 1 day? So I think that's a tricky question to answer, but I think that's all right. Here it is. Market opened. There's your little drop. Let me see something. The market opened right there. Let me see if I got anything. Okay. It's making sense so far. I think that's where it's just gonna slingshot, because it's the structure that already broke out. And so at some point, if you use, for example, the Fibonacci, let's take this low and this high. Well, that one already had a, if we do this low to that high, this is your potential area of rebound from the 50 to the 70. But what I'm thinking is this low to this high is where we might see that rejection, somewhere around here. Okay, this is where I think the market is going to slingshot. It leaves equal highs. We can break through them. Yes, these equal highs are going to get broken at some point. And now going back to what you said, it could take longer. You know what? It could. If it does, it does, right? But based on everything we've been seeing, this triangle seems to be this triangle. Sorry. Yes. This one. Right here. Right? And so it's a matter of time before the highs get broken and price retests them and continues going higher. So it's a matter of time before we get that breakout to the upside, a retest of these highs, and then just continue to the upside. How's everybody doing? I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Any questions, any thoughts, any ideas, anything you want to say? Please. I know it took a while. I know it's been a quite a long extended session, but I just had to come up and do this. I will finish this video in 2 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope I made you click something somewhere. And I hope you watch this multiple times to try and identify opportunities similar. It's not, like I said, it's completely different. But I know there's something to it. Something to it. That being said, thank you for staying here. Thank you for watching. You are powerful. You are patient. You are disciplined. Never give up. Never give up. Keep going. Keep going. Every day you're closer. Every day you're closer. Samo, thank you for being here. Thank you for your observations. See you next time. The market is bouncing. I think it's making a move. We should be gone. I'm buying.